Hello everybody, Ryan here with Product Impressions. Today I'm going to be checking out the new Sony Bravia Theater Bar 9. I have tried out some sound bars in the past and been less than thrilled with the results. Oftentimes they make virtually no difference over the speakers in newer TVs. So I am curious how Sony is going to deal with a sound bar. Now the Bravia line is really nice. This is, I believe, about a $1,400 soundbar if you were to buy this. Thank you to Best Buy for sending this to me to test out. I'm gonna see how I can go about mounting this, what kind of a difference it makes with the TV that I have. I currently have two different TVs from Hisense. One is a 65-inch that is a few years old at this point, probably about 7 or 8 years old actually, and the other one is a 55-inch, but that one is only about 1.5 years old, I believe. I think the model year on that one is 22. So yeah, we're gonna take a look at these, see how it compares to the audio. How can you actually mount it, because my TV is up on the wall and so I don't have a shelf to put this on. So we're gonna see how we can mount this and what kind of a difference it makes in the sound that you get from a flat screen TV. As I don't have a mantle underneath my TV, I'm going to have to actually mount the sound bar to the Visa mount that is on the back underneath there, and to that end I have these Mounting Dreams soundbar brackets. Never done this before, so hey, let's give it a try, see how it turns out. It took some significant doing to get all of this set up. Ultimately, it is very straightforward as far as the nuts all go in places that you would expect, the screws go in places that you would expect. But in order to actually get this thing mounted across the top of my TV so that I'm not going to roll my chair into it or anything like that, I needed to put the TV up on a larger box so that that could be lifted up more than the sound bar so that I could get these brackets to line up straight, and then re-screw these mounts back onto the back of the TV. So setup did take a little while. It's definitely a little bit exerting, but ultimately we'll see if it's actually worth it. All right, as you can see, I have this Sony Bravia soundbar mounted up across the top of my television. A lot of people would put it down on the bottom, but with the way that my home is set up, my desk is immediately off to the right here. And I didn't want to be smashing my chair into this because it, as you can see, it does stick out about 1.5 inches further than the TV does. So I didn't want to end up inadvertently damaging anything. Otherwise, I must say the setup was fairly easy outside of just the weight of trying to get this thing back up on the wall. I did end up having to call somebody else for help because this is just way too much to try and lift on your own and maneuver it precisely enough to get it onto a wall mount. Otherwise, really the only thing that you have to do is connect an HDMI cable from the TV into the back of the soundbar. Over on the stage left side here, the right-hand side on the screen, this is where the HDMI cable plugs in. If you have an ARC or eARC HDMI port on your TV, all you have to do is plug it in, and this will be controlled by the TV's volume. It will come on when you turn on the TV. That is one thing that I have actually noticed is not necessarily always the case. I will rephrase that. It always has come on when I have turned on the TV. It has not always turned off. Right now you can see it actually is off because if it is on, there is a little white light that shows up here, it pulses, what have you. That also serves to show what source is plugged in. If it's going through the HDMI cable from the TV, then it's going to have a white light there. It does also have Bluetooth connectivity, so you can just use this connected to your phone, and that's actually where I've noticed it doesn't turn off. If anything has been paired with it through Bluetooth, it is much less likely to actually turn off, even if it is not currently paired to the Bluetooth. Otherwise, there is a green light that will show up as well. There is a separate HDMI port just for audio input. I honestly have no idea what that would be for, because I don't know any devices that use HDMI just for audio. Everything that I have seen is video as well. So let's go ahead and turn this on. You will get to see, yep, that is coming on. And all right, let's see. Yep, the white light just came on there. And now we are going to see what actually happens. This could just be with my TV, but it does tend to flicker in and out.
Crime 360 looks at crime from every angle. On the ground.
That's evidence of a homicide.
On the run.
Apparently it's actually working decently well right now. Most of the time when I first turn this on, it will flash up here like, oh, HDMI 4 is connected and it's getting video from HDMI 2, and then you have it'll flicker in and out. It'll say that it loses the connection, then it comes back, and it actually takes about 10 to 15 seconds for it actually to come on, sync up appropriately. But it looks like I did have the TV on about half an hour ago. Apparently it still synced up pretty nicely there. But in any case, the only other thing that I can say as far as the controls are concerned, this is just going through the Amazon remote that is paired with my TV. You can see I can turn it up and down, and there's a second little white light that flickers up there. Let me grab the remote for this thing so that we can go over some settings. So here's the remote that actually comes with this soundbar. Up across the top you can see we've got the power and an input button. We've got voice and sound field, a volume up and down, bass up and down, night, and mute. This is kind of a weird remote. I honestly don't know why it was set up this way. The power button obviously will turn the soundbar on and off. That is useful, I guess, if you're going to go into the Bluetooth setting rather than just the TV. Like if you turn it on with a TV, it'll automatically connect with the TV. But if you just turn it on separately, it'll look for that, but in theory then you should be able to press input and switch over to Bluetooth. In practice, I don't think the input button actually does anything. I have pressed it numerous times after turning on the TV while it's already connected to Bluetooth, and it doesn't do anything. It just takes about 20 seconds and it will automatically switch to the TV. I don't think input actually does anything on this remote. Voice and sound field. I must say in the documentation for this soundbar, there is nothing about what voice or sound field or night actually do. It's another reason why I think this setup is weird. Each of these on all corners of the remote are basically toggling switches for on and off on different settings. So what is going to work best for you may depend on what you are actually watching at the time. If you toggle on the voice, it is going to make the voices clearer in whatever you are watching. Sound field, just from what I have been able to read online about other models, and it's just other people's assessments having nothing to do from Sony, that is basically to switch between being good for TV or movies or music. In my experience, it is one of them sounds good and the other one sounds bad. Basically, one of them sounds like it's echoing off of the back too much and things are getting distorted, but the other one actually works. So toggle it on and off and see what works for you. Night, once again, based on my reading about other models and what people have said that this is supposed to do, is make things clearer if you want it to be at lower volumes. How does it do that? No idea. I don't think that it makes any difference in the sound. I have tried toggling it on and off, no difference whatsoever. Bass, it looks like a normal volume thing up and down. It's actually just 3 settings. You can have it low, normal, or high. So kind of weird that it looks like a normal volume control. Yeah, otherwise the main control in the center, just the volume up and down. As you can see, I'm pressing it up and down and the volume is going up and down here. The only other thing that I would say is weird with the connection with my TV, the volume changes much more slowly when it is connected to the soundbar than when it is not. When it is not connected to the soundbar, I could just hold volume up and it would click up like click, 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 5, 10, 10, 10. Like it starts making big jumps. Here, it is just ding, 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 ding. Oh, it's actually jumping now. Apparently settings can change. Most of the time when I was using this, it was just clicking up and it would basically do 1 notch per second. And that was particularly frustrating because it only has 1 volume setting on here. So if you select Bluetooth, you better really hope that the volume on your phone is going to be comparable to what the TV was at before, because it's going to switch the volume completely. So I have typically found that when I'm listening to something through Bluetooth, the volume that I'm going to have it at is around 17 or so through the soundbar once it's connected there. But when I switch over to the TV, it needs to be pumped up to somewhere between 30 and 40 in order to actually be able to hear what is playing at the time. So that's another thing that's a little bit strange. The main question as to why we are all here for a soundbar is, how does it actually sound? I don't think it would actually capture well through my little GoPro camera, but I can say the sound quality was fine through my TV before. It's a, I don't know, 2018 model, 65-inch from Hisense. It was never their top of the line, but it was kind of like the next rung down as far as Hisense is concerned. The sound quality was always fine. Connecting this to it, it makes it sound like you are in a theater. Like, the sound quality is really good. I wasn't entirely sure when I first put it up there, because there is an app that you do need to download, which for this I must say is actually useful, because since the input button doesn't work, going in through the app is the only way to actually connect this by Bluetooth to your phone. Also, there is way more settings when you go in through the app. And let's just go ahead and pull that up. All right, Bravia Connect. So let's go ahead and see this app. Here you can see basically all of the same settings as we were just looking at on the remote. We've got the night mode, sound field, and voice mode. As far as I'm concerned, sound field and voice mode need to be on. That is what makes things clearest. We have a volume control, which goes a little bit faster than the remote typically does. Bass level, I've got it at mid. Viewing position. This will automatically test the speaker based on the microphone in your phone and determine how best to calibrate the sound to give you more of a surround sound feel, even though it is just a single bar. There are 13 outputs in there apparently, but just one bar. When you go into the settings, you can see there is more for the speaker settings, sound settings, HDMI, Bluetooth systems. There's a lot of different things that you can tweak, but ultimately it's really just these three things after it walks you through a setup the first time to determine how it is positioned, how you are normally going to be seated so that you can get the best quality. Up at the top here is where you can actually tell it what you want it to connect to. So you can see right now it is on TV, and it has the options of HDMI and Bluetooth. This is something of a UI issue that I have here. I always want to tap at the bottom because the menu comes up at the bottom, but it's actually up on top. So it's most of the time when I want to switch it from Bluetooth, I end up hitting settings and having to back out into this screen. So up on the top, and it for some reason brings up the menu on the bottom. That could be made a little bit better, but otherwise, as far as this app is concerned, I do find it useful. It is the easiest way to switch from TV to HDMI. I don't have anything plugged in there, but TV and Bluetooth, and control any of the settings and actually see what the setting is at, because when you are using the remote, there is nothing on the screen to tell you if voice mode is actually on or off. You will just hear the audio cut out for about a quarter of a second and then it pops back on. Same with sound field, same with night mode. Once again, night mode, I have no idea if that actually does anything. I don't think it does. It doesn't make any difference as far as my testing has been concerned. All right, I was going to try and bounce back and forth, but there's a lot of menu settings that I would have to dig through in order to disconnect the soundbar, and yeah, this is really heavy and really difficult to get to not be engaged. So yeah, apparently we are not going to be doing that, but hopefully you can trust me that the sound quality is dramatically better with this soundbar than with anything else, than with just the speakers. This is also dramatically better than any other soundbar that I have tried. That being said, it is $1,400. Is it $1,400 better? Quite honestly, I have no idea if that is going to be worth $1,400. In my particular case, this is nice. It does have good bass, and that is not something that I would typically get with a setup like this because I have nowhere to put a subwoofer. Like, it's right over the fireplace. There's nowhere for me to hide a subwoofer right in front of it. So this is going to have great sound if you don't need or cannot have any other components. But if you could, you might be able to get better sound for less money through a perhaps more complicated system that does include multiple speakers and a subwoofer. All right. I think that is pretty much all that I have to say on this. So hopefully this has been of some help to you. Like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I will do my best to answer whatever I can. Otherwise, I will see you next time.